Shalom, Maya Hayom, Shabbat Shalom, Maya Hayom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. I finally have figured out that song. It has a little extra Shabbat Shalom at the very end. You'll
never
see
know.
me. Usually I'll be like, there's a couple of songs that in Cantor's repertoire that are just, they throw me off because they have that little hitch at the very end.
Well, for the last few weeks, I've been doing the same 3 warm-up songs, so you should really start to be comfortable with those.
You would think, right?
You would think, but I'm really going to mess you up on the Micha Mocha today.
Okay, thank you for the warning. I've learned to pause a little bit, take my breath, and come in.
But then once you hear and know, you'll be able to sing along.
There's one on High Holy Days that is exactly like that. I always have to remember, that's the one. So welcome, Shabbat Shalom. It really is fun to see everyone here. I know it's disappointing. You might have seen the long trail of messages as we were trying to debate. The weather was kind of hovering over. We have the great advantage of having Allison over here, who is an expert. It gives us a lot of comfort to make last-minute decisions, but every single time we thought, okay, we could do it. We can go under the tent. It would start pouring down or the weather would change, and it was the best of intentions. So we apologize for all the messages. I really apologize to Bruce Corus over here, who had to give an extra message. I told him as soon as his message came through, I'm like the last on our list to receive it. It was pouring rain. I said, that's Murphy's Law. So Bruce, you want to come over and offer a welcome?
Welcome. Shabbat Shalom. I'm not going to open it because it's bad luck to open it inside. But Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Is today July 2nd or April Fool's Day? We're not sure which. So let me tell you how the day went, just so you know. The rabbi, the cantor, and Joanne, also affectionately referred to as Curly, Larry, and Mo, met today and said, oh, we better be inside. The rabbi made the call. Then they continued to talk, and they said, you know, the forecast has changed. They've moved the rain back. Let's be outside, and let's have Bruce make that call. So Bruce makes the call, finishes recording it, pushes the button to send the call, and the skies open up. Mindy Weinman texted me. She said, I got your call, and it's a monsoon at my house. I was in my office. I looked out the window. There was an arc going down Main Street in Williamsville. I said, I don't think this is going to work. Anyway, it's beautiful out there now, but unfortunately the ground is saturated, and we tried. And that's the important thing, is that we're always going to try to do whatever we can to give you the best Shabbat experience possible. And if we can be outside, we will. And if not, thank goodness we can do this. All last year, Joanne and I were talking about this earlier, last year we were so lucky with the weather because we were outside starting, I think, in June, maybe even May. We went into October, November. There were only 1 or 2 times where we had to say, sorry guys, we have to do the live stream only. This year, if we can't be outside, we're inside and everyone can still be together, and that is just so important. So the rabbi and the cantor and Paul have a lovely service for you this evening, and I'll be back with the announcements later. And anyway, we tried. Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and stay dry.
So Bruce, I'll tell you a funny story. We went out this week. We don't have any kids. They're all at camp, and yeah, it's quite remarkable after 13 years. And we went to Tonawanda, and they have these beautiful concerts. I don't know if everyone has seen this on the canal. Every week they have a different, we didn't even know it. We showed up and there was all these people. And we were listening. We got there almost right at 8 when they started the concert, and they had these wonderful announcers. This year said, it sounds just like Bruce. So you got a little encouragement over there that we're so lucky we have you in our own home here. Just a word about the masks and this confusing time we're in. We're in this place where I noticed even when I went to the library today, they're changing their policies, that we're still trying to figure it out. Just we understand that in our community here, we have all different comfort levels, and we've decided when we've met, we actually had a meeting this past week on Monday, on Tuesday, we decided we're going to keep the mask policy for now, just for the comfort level of the whole congregation, especially since we're gathered in one space. And we really, those of you that, because you're all in different states, we really appreciate you supporting one another, and that's really what our effort is this whole time. We're here for you, and you're here for us, and that's really a wonderful thing. That's really what community is about. Why don't we take a nice deep breath of Shabbat air and breathe in as if we were outside. We'll breathe in everything from this past week that we want to hold on to, all those beautiful moments. For me, it's the little notes we got from camp, so sweet, all the different letters. And we'll also breathe out everything that we wanted to get rid of, the hailstorm today. We can get rid of that. So one nice deep breath in and out. So we're going to begin with a song dedicated to July 4th. Cantor and Paul have something picked out for you.
Well, we're going to do This Land Is Your Land. We're going to do it the verses will be in Yiddish, and the choruses will be in English. So I need you to sing loud on the English because I keep wanting to translate from Yiddish, and it's Yiddish backwards you speak. So, this land is your land. Hab mir gewandert in ein Land der Freiheit, heraus von Midbar, wie mir Mitzrayim, gesucht danach, Jerusalem. Das ist ein Land von mir und dir. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the coastal waters. This land was made for you and me. Gegen Caribe, die Berg und Täler, herumgeringelt von süße Kerle, die Rischkes Mömlin, die Vögel singen. Das ist ein Land von mir und dir. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the coastal waters. This land was made for me and you and me. It's opposite, so here we go. Geh ich mir wagen, die Sonne vom Oben, nach besegneten, zerblossen Staaten, durch die Tomarin, herrlich gesangen. Das ist ein Land von mir und dir. Everyone, this land is your land, this land is my land, from California
wonderful. How different it is when you transform it into Yiddish. It really,
really
hits your
works.
heart in a different way.
Yeah, the Jewish American experience. It's all there, that song.
Yeah, I think about what my wife's grandfather always said, a curse on Columbus. You ever hear that one? They say, oh, America's great, and then they come and they see, oh, there's a lot of struggles here, of course. We're going to move to our candle lighting on page 120, and I'm so lucky we haven't been able to have the cues for a while from their downtown home, inviting them over to light our candles. Again, on page 120, and Cantor will lead the prayer. The matches are right on the side over there. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So why don't we do the prayer again and for the microphone?
Okay,
and
sure. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are the candles that light our way through Shabbat. And Beth, I love what you brought to there. Your family has a different journey to this place, coming through the Yiddish, and but also coming from like these Sephardic roots as well, where candle lighting was, I think, through your family was often the only thing that was still retained. And Beth is one of those families that we have a number in our community that kind of refound their Judaism through the generations after being kicked out of Spain and all that terrible time. Now, Tony, I hate to ask you to do this. Tony, could you come over and just hold up our Kiddush cup? It's a little harder for me. I apologize. The Kiddush is on page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uv'ratzon hinchilanu Sekabrot lemaseh Bereshit Ki hu yom tehillah Lemika'eh kodesh Zecher Yetziat Mitzrayim Kivanu ha'chatam Hiltanu kidashtam Mikohavim B'Shabbat Kodshecha Be'ahava U'v'ratzon Hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai V'kadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. L'chaim. Thank you, Tony. If we could all turn to page 126, let's read together in the English. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics, and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love, As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us and to bring that vision to life. We turn now to Lecha Dodi, which is on page 138. And we're going to be singing the first and last verses. On that last verse, we're going to rise and face the doorway. It seems so excited just to be able to say we're facing the doorway back there. And what we'll do is we'll bow to the Shabbat bride as she symbolically enters into our room. And then we welcome each other with our glorious hand motions like one of the kings and queens in England. Now that we have waved at each other and we've seen each other, really seen each other, we turn to our prayer of community, page 146. This is where we show that we need one another.
Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam. Amen.
On the bottom of 147, please join with me. O God, you are as near as the very air we breathe, yet farther than the farthest most star. We yearn to reach you. We seek the light and warmth of your presence. Though we say you are near, we are lonely and alone. O let our desire be so strong that it will tear the veil that keeps you from our sight. Let your light release our darkness and reveal the glory and joy of your presence. Ahavat Olam, page 150.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Avta, Torah u'mizvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otan limadeta, Al ken Adonai Eloheinu, B'shachenu ובהם נחכה יומם ולילה.
Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Bless you, God, who loves us. Page 152, 153, the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
You may be seated. I want to thank Linda there for helping us with the clapping. 154, we continue with the V'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מיותיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברתם בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Well, it's so nice to hear your voices there. We're going to turn to the Michamocha, and I know you and I have been waiting. What is the melody that Cantor is going to share? I'm going to be careful, though.
I think you're going to be able to do it easy. It's in honor of July 4th, and it's one of the leitmotifs of patriotism.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נטר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, מלכותך רעו בניך, בוקי הים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ילך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך האלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש.
Very, very sweet. I guess you all figured out it. Yankee Doodle Dandy.
But half the times I would go to practice it, I would say, what is wrong with this melody? And it would be, I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy. And every time I would start to go over it, it'd be, what's wrong with this? So I never realized that there were the two Yankee Doodle. They always were separated, but not today.
What is
Yankee
the
Doodle.
feather in the cap, anyways? You know, what is that?
Well,
thing?
you know, by the way, the Micha Mocha is the leitmotif for the season, right? It's like the little signal. So you might start a High Holy Day, Micha Mocha, you know, a few weeks before, you know, High Holy Days, and you might start a Passover melody for Micha Mocha during Passover, and so both our secular and our Hebrew holidays.
Yeah, no, it's so wonderful to bring the melodies that you're familiar into it. I did notice something that I never noticed before. There's a slight amendment in the text, in the more liberal text, where it says Bokeh Yam Lifnei Moshe Umiriam, which is right there on the 6th line. I actually never noticed that it actually rhymes. You have the Yam and the Miriam.
Oh, yeah.
But I think when you were singing the Yankee Doodle, the way the melody worked, I finally heard the rhyme that I never heard before. So it's kind of funny how things come. I'm like, oh, it was brilliant that the Miriam was supposed to be there. I'm going to invite you, if you're able, to rise. We have our tefillah, which starts on page 164. We'll do the beginning through page 170 out loud and then continue quietly.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi tehillatcha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu B'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor VeHaNorah Elyon Gamer Chasadim Tovim V'konei HaKol V'zacheh Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot U'mevii Geula Lifnei V'nehem Le'ma'an Shemo Ve'ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magid Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei Hakol Atah Rav Lehoshia Morid Hatah Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed Mechayei Hakol B'Rachamim Rabim Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato L'Shenei Afar Michamocha Bar Gevurot U'Midom Melech Melech Meimit Umekayem U'Matzmiach Yeshua V'Ne'eman Atah L'Chachayot HaKol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayei HaKol Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh U'Kadoshim B'chol Yom Yehallelujah Selah Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
We continue quietly through page 180. You may be seated whenever you're ready.
bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. Oh, say shalom.
Try with me.
Be Brahma
From up on high.
Oh, say shalom.
The one who makes peace.
Be Brahma Huyase, huyase, huyase shalom. Huyase, huyase, huyase shalom. Huyase, huyase, huyase shalom. Aleinu.
Peace for us.
May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down.
We're going to turn to our healing blessing right now. The healing blessing is on page 371 from Misha Berach. And as always, our hearts are heavy with so many people in our extended community. I'm going to read our list here, and if you have other names, I'll encourage you to raise your hand or just keep the names in your heart. We're thinking about, as a Share Shalom community, David Atkinson, Ebony Burse, Michael Berwick, David Campbell, Ira Cohen, Karen Cooper, Michelle Davis, Arthur Dzelke, Lori Ebach, Faggy Fox, Irene Green, Jeff Hamilton, Reed Hefner, Nancy Hersbrunn, Sue Hill, Howard Hilfstein, Mark Nightinger, Ken Kellick, Tony Legalbo, Diane Lynch, Larry Max, Jean McGarry, Helene Mesh, Jennifer Milich, Karen Place, Mary Rumez, Jason Shaw, Michael Citron, Frank Shinta, Cindy Seiner, Christopher Smith, Jerry and Janice Suffren, Meg Wagner, Carol Wilson, Fred Weiner, Elizabeth Jeezy Yeager, Hannah Ezra Ben Shuel, Amir Ben Tova, and Tova Bat Miriam. If you have other names.
Roger, Marchione, and Jerry.
Take all those names into our heart and many more. And again, page 371. A complete healing of body and soul. How wonderful it is for us to be together in this way. We've come through so much together, and seeing some people that I haven't seen in quite a while, it reminded me how much I missed you and how much we miss each other, and how wonderful it is to just be seen and see each other in this way. So I think I already mentioned all 3 kids are at camp. Did I tell you this is the first time in 13 years that we haven't had children in our household, at least one child, for an extended period of time? I think Ashira and I got away 2 other days in 13 years, so we're really excited. It also helped remind me of the times and how important camp has been in my own life. I certainly wouldn't be a rabbi today without overnight camp and Jewish day camps. They really form the backbone. It's always surprising to me, and maybe Cantor, you're not from this area either, how little recognition there is about overnight camps. Outside of the Jewish community, when you tell people you're sending your kids away for more than a week, they start shaking their heads like this. They think, what are you doing? How could you do this? And through much of the Jewish world, I know where Cantor came from before, I'm sure it was pretty common over there to send kids to overnight camp as a way of helping them really understand their Jewish heritage and also gain independence in that way. So 31 years ago, I was a camp porter. It was my first job at an overnight camp at Camp Ramah in the Poconos, which is not too far from where my kids are right now. They're at Havaya, which is the Reconstructionist camp, and Camp Ramah in the Poconos, probably about a half an hour away, and that's in Pennsylvania. And I had 2 possible positions that I could have as a 16-year-old going into my senior year of high school. I could either be a babysitter or a porter, or a kitchen position. And I gladly took the kitchen position. My job as a porter meant that I was in charge of pouring and repouring a lot of milk. I got very good at looking at the sell-by dates of milk to make sure that no milk would go bad on my watch. And I remember it was the week before camp, so roughly 31 years ago in 1 week, when we took an excursion out to Scranton, Pennsylvania. This was our staff week, and they wanted to get a little staff bonding in before the kids actually came. We had about 200 staff. It was an enormous camp. There was 600 campers that were there, and probably almost 1,000 people that stayed during the summer. So we went off to Scranton, which you might be familiar with, The Office, and also Stranger Things actually takes place in Lackawanna, Pennsylvania, somewhere around there. But back then, it was kind of a small, failing city, Rust Belt town, which we're familiar with. But for us that were coming from the camp, it was heaven. Because believe it or not, they had a movie theater, a bowling alley, and a mall. So we were super excited to take the hour trip to Scranton. We got in our school buses, which they often use at camps. We had a couple of buses full to wind around. I always got so nauseous in the mountains. Nowadays, I have to drive. I can't let Ashira drive because I just will get so nauseous over there. We made it over to our space, and we got off the bus. Everyone was counted, and we were placed in groups of 2 or 3 to wander around as we wanted for a few hours before we would meet up at the bus and return to camp. And so we had the best time. I think we went to a movie, we walked around the mall, and we just kind of had our first real taste of independence at that age. And my friends and I, who I think I had just met at that time, we knew exactly when we were coming back, and we had our watch, and we went back to the spot, and wouldn't you know it, but there was no buses there and no one else there. So we're standing there amongst one another and wondering what on earth had gone wrong. But of course, there was no cell phones back then. So we held back our pride, and we got a quarter out, and we found the number in the yellow pages to Camp Ramah in the Poconos, and we called over there. We said, I think we've been left behind. And we waited there. I remember being very tense. Would happen? Would we find our way back to camp? And lo and behold, about 2 hours later, this shaggy-haired 20-something-year-old who seemed impossibly older than we were, who had his own car, drove up in a huff, looked at the three of us with disgust, put us in the back of his vehicle, and drove off on those windy roads. I remember being incredibly nauseous by the end of it. But there was this feeling when we got there that we had been left behind, that we were somehow less than, as being on the lowest level of the camping staff that year. We felt that we hadn't been seen, that we could just be, we were there, but we didn't matter in any way. And I've thought of that when we think about this week's Torah portion, where we have yet again in the book of Numbers another census. For those of us reading the census, it is quite long and tedious and involves lots of numbers that don't really matter to us today as they go through each and every single tribe. And so we wonder why, if the whole beginning, the whole first 6 chapters of Numbers involved a census, why on earth here towards the end of the book of Numbers in Parshat Pinchas do we need to return to yet another census? It seems senseless. Why do we need to do this? Baya ben Asher, who's a very famous 13th century Kabbalist from Spain, asked this very question. Why? Why? There shouldn't be any redundancy. Why do we need these numbers again? It doesn't seem like so much time, certainly not in the Torah, that has passed. And Baya, who often, Bachya, I think is how it's pronounced, he often tells stories, and he tells a story of a shepherd who goes out, and at the beginning of the day, the shepherd takes account of the sheep, makes sure every sheep is there, then goes off, making sure that the sheep graze and do all the things that they need to do, and at the end of the day, what does the shepherd do again? Takes another count to make sure that not a single sheep is lost. And Bachya says that is the reason why Moses does a second census, to make sure no one will get lost. Rashi, the great biblical commentator who lived a couple 100 years before Bachya, he also adds an interesting psychological insight. Counting something shows affection and attachment, even when one knows precisely the end result of the counting. By counting something, we demonstrate our love and our care for all of the individuals in our community. I think that is a really, really important thing. When we think about community, it is never one thing. I am very hyper aware that every time we gather, we are different. We have a different group together. This is especially important in life cycle events. What is the reason that people come from far away to be there for a bar or bat mitzvah or a baby naming or a wedding or any type of life cycle event? Because it matters. It matters to be in that room. Why do we take so much time taking those pictures? How many of you have been in those family shots where you got everyone in and everyone's moving and it's so arduous? But that shot matters, because when you look back on that picture years later, you remember that that person wasn't there anymore. I had a chance to see the African American Achievers Museum. I think it's the Black Achievers Museum on Jefferson Street. It actually opened right before the pandemic. What bad luck. And it's based on this award that's been given out for over almost 50 years at this point, just about 50 years. And it celebrates all different people in this area. And we were meeting with the owner of it, who is the son of the person who started it. Wonderful, wonderful person. Bellamy is his last name. And he was looking at the old videos from 2 years ago. And he was looking at they actually have a red carpet. It is very, very moving because, as he told us, they actually just have ordinary people walking down the red carpet. People that are recognized by their workplaces, that deserve recognition for just the hard work that they put in every day. And as he was watching this couple, he said, that person is no longer here. They died of COVID. It just took our breath away to think that was just 2 years ago. And it was not an old person. It was someone in their 50s or 60s. And to see every single time we gather how very, very different it is. I have over here something which is remarkable. It's remarkable in a couple different ways. I have the newspaper article from our foundation, our very first day. And this newspaper is exactly 9 years ago, Monday, July 2nd, 2012, talking about the July 1st, when we had our initial walk. And Bruce, you are in the picture here. You are carrying the Torah along with Mark Horowitz, and Dr. Ellen Frankie there, Melania Puyas, and also Marlene Creighton are over there, and I think Lily Bink is in this picture. And in the background with his Panama hat is Rabbi Tannenbaum holding the door. Below it, there's another picture, which is wonderful. Cantor Sharon Colbert is reading Torah there in the old Sinai sanctuary. And I am standing off to the side with my daughter, who was just bat mitzvah. She was just 4 years old in that picture. So crazy how much time passed. So this is remarkable because I actually saved it. We're not good at saving things, but I happened to be going through my youngest child, Noam's room, and I was like, wow, we actually saved this. It's remarkable. Another reason that I'm going to rectify, Joanne, I'm going to bring this to Nancy. This is not up on our walls here at Temple Sinai, and that is a Shanda. So thankfully, God pointed me in the right direction and made sure that I saved this so that I can bring it to Nancy, who does a wonderful job, and this will be in our front over here so everyone can take a look at it. So as we look at the article, first of all, Alva Finkelstein is quoted. She's called a Pendleton resident, and those of you know Alva, she died just a year ago, 98 years old. She was 90 years old when she made the walk. She had said on that day, it's a bittersweet day. She was part of that whole founding cycle at Temple Sinai, and she was leaving the place she founded to come to her new home over here. And she said, it's a bittersweet day, but you got to go forward. It's up to the young people to carry on. Actually, there's a wonderful quote from Sharon Jacobs, our former ed director. She says at the end of the article, this procession is so symbolic, so genuine. Walking together is the foundation of the whole future. And it really was. Believe it or not, beforehand, we were worried of exactly of the kind of weather that we had here. And I don't know, I was exactly the same thing. I was talking to Todd. I said, maybe we should cancel. Maybe. I had this push and pull. I really wasn't sure. Standing here in 2021 is a long time ago, was 2012. Our community is not the same. So many of you, even in this room, came into Shir Shalom since that time. Some of you recently, and some of you a long time ago. But you have made our community so much different and so much better. Our Buffalo Jewish community certainly has changed a lot. It's incredible. We hoped at that time, a decade ago almost, to change in the way that we have, and we have been able to through a lot of hard work and vision. We've made our overall community so much stronger than we were, so much better for our moment right now. Of course, America, that we celebrate its birthday this weekend, is not the same. America has changed so much just in the last few years. It's quite amazing. And given the pandemic, our world really is not the same. It's a very different world than it was in 2020 and 2012. Yet there is continuity. Our memories bind us together. Our work and investment in this community, in our world, binds us together. Our joint participation on days like today binds us together. This place of memory really binds us together. We have learned so many things at Shir Shalom over the past 9 years. How to work with one another, how to trust one another, how to love one another. When we create something, as I said last week, it gives us the strength to create other things. Rabbi Sid Schwartz, who heads my clergy leadership incubator, always reminds us that when we change something, it gives us the muscle to change other things. That's what he asked me this week. He said, now that the religious school is almost there, right, Bruce? We're almost there. Now, what are you going to do next? I said, hold on, we're just going down that. I want to conclude thinking about counting and numbers and how not to leave anyone behind with a beautiful service that I got witnessed and I was part of this week at the SJ Apartments. Dr. Yonina Foster is really the head of activity director and head of many different programs. And a number of years ago, she started a memorial service that we couldn't do last year for all the residents. And we do it together with Brother Greg Jakovitz, who went to Israel with me, a wonderful priest. And we were finally able to get together. And we came into their room, their library over there, and we sat down. There was about 20 residents, and we did traditional prayers, mourner's Kaddish. And the most important thing that we did is we read the names of everyone who died in 2019, 2020, who had lived or been part of the SJ apartment community. At the end of the service, Dr. Foster opened it up for all the residents to share their memories about all of the people that were gone. And slowly but surely, people started sharing. They shared about a woman who loved to whistle. They shared about someone who always laughed. They shared about someone who always would go down to the mailbox and bring up the mail for people that were residents there. They shared about this one bachelor, a lifelong bachelor, who got adopted by a number of the women there and made sure that he was healthy, that he was eating, even got him to the hospital when he refused to go. What you saw there was a census, in a way, a counting. We see this in Florida, unfortunately, at this terrible collapse that's just broken all of our hearts. We see how important each and every single one of those people. We don't want to do a census at that time, but it's a way of showing that even in those tragic times, that people matter. This is the message of our Torah portion, and this is the message of our community. We can't forget, we can't leave anyone behind. Each and every one of us matters in our way. Let us count correctly. Let us not leave anyone behind in the Pocono Mountains. Shabbat Shalom. Okay, so we will have this available. I want to make sure I've already bent it out of shape, but Joanne will make sure that we get this rectified. Okay, I think we are going to go back to our service and encourage you to turn to page 586 for Aleinu. It's not enough just to pray. We need to go out and do good deeds. So if you're able, please rise.
עלינו לשבח לתת הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו תחת האדמה, שלא שם חלקינו כהם, וגם עלינו ככל המונם.
Page 591.
אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים עומדים לפני מלך ומלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Now 591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
You may be seated. See, I told you it was going to happen. It's nice to be able to close the ark again. We haven't been able to do that. We are going to turn to Mourner's Kaddish now. Again, remembering and counting is a way of honoring our parents and our loved ones. It's a way of showing that we matter even after we've died. So page 598 is the Mourner's Kaddish. We are remembering today Pauline Brummer, Barry Cohen, Charles Collada, Marilyn Kriegel, Dr. Robert Milch, and Inga Strauss, as well as all those who did die in this terrible collapse in Florida, and also this incident in Brighton, Massachusetts. I believe there was someone who died in that. We are also remembering those from years past in our community, whose anniversary is this week. Doreen Baker, Robert Bardak, Harold Bernstein, Bertram Breitbart, J.M. Caviar, Edith Cohen, William Diamond, Yetta Falk, Helen Gross, Janet Hohenstein, Rabbi Daniel Kerman, Dr. Harold A. Korn, Lois Kurtzman, Geraldine Lemansky, Fred Lippa, Harry Mackler, Harvey Mandelkern, Rudy Miller, Francine Morris, Herman Raccoon, Samuel Rosengarten, Ida Rosner, Mary Sandel, Sidney Schiller, Louis Schreiber, Charles Sellers, Ida Siegel, Eva E. Silverman, Isidore Silverman, Sarah Smith, Shifra Sweet, Elaine Weiner, Roberta Yud, and Sonia Urovitsky. If there's other names, feel free to raise your hands. Thank you. All those whose custom it is to rise, please rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, bi'alma tivrach hirate v'yamlik malkute, b'chayachon v'yamachon v'chayeh t'chol beit Yisrael, b'agala v'zman kariv v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam omei amaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei dekudashah, b'rechu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran bi'alma v'yimru, amen. Yehei shlam rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru, amen. Oseh shalom v'yimramav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'yal kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru, amen. May the one who creates harmony and high bring peace to us, to all Israel, to all the world, and we say, Amen. Zikranam livracha, may their memory always be for a blessing. I'd like to invite up Bruce Chorus for our announcements. You may be seated.
Shabbat Shalom again, everyone. Thank you to Rabbi Alex, Cantor Frank, and Paul Staley for tonight's very lovely service. Indoors, of course. I told Paul at about 5:45, I said, quick, grab the piano, wheel it outside. We can be under the tent. He would have done it, too. All I could think of today, by the way, thank you to you guys for your understanding as we went through our Meshuggah a day. All I could think of is what Rabbi Tannenbaum used to say, which is that if you don't like organized religion, this is the temple for you. Anyway, hopefully, fingers crossed, and if the rabbi might put in a good word, next week we will be outside under the tent for our first under the tent service of the new year. By the way, this is our, Rabbi mentioned the date, anniversary of the newspaper article, so this is our first service of our 10th year as Congregation Shir Shalom. So it's only fitting that we are all over the place today. And we'll be looking ahead to next July 1st, which is our 10th anniversary as a congregation. Wow. Tomorrow morning, we will have our virtual offerings will include Torah study at 9 a.m. Now, the Shabbat morning service is not virtual. It will take place in person at Canterbury Woods tomorrow at 11 a.m. They do require proof of vaccination, so if you're planning on attending that, you have to bring your vaccination card. Our website will have the link for the Torah study. We have another Shabbat coming up, not this coming week, the following week. We wouldn't want to try to do it the day after 4th of July weekend, but we will be doing a Shabbat on Tuesday, July 13th. That will be from 4 to 7 or until sold out. Make sure you sign up for your meals in advance on the website to guarantee you get them. And of course, if you do a pre-order, you save $1 as well. Monday, August 2nd, which is a month from today. The summer celebration is back. That is the thing we are doing with Temple Beth Zion. It is over at the Transit Valley Country Club. There will be golf. There will be a wine, brewery, and distillery tour, I think. It's a new thing this year. There'll be lunch. There'll be dinner. If you would like to know more about it or would like to be a sponsor of it, we're still looking for those. Make sure you touch base with Joanne after the service tonight. Or reach out to Tom Lansing. His information is in the email that went out. If you still have not signed up for our Jewish Heritage Cruise in Europe, which is next summer, August of 2022, cabins are going fast. So if you haven't signed up yet, please do, because it will, I think, fill up. And if you'd like to know, if those of you that are here in the room tonight, if you'd like to know more about it, talk to Robin or Alan, because they've got all sorts of good stuff. If you need us for anything, contact Joanne, the rabbi, the cantor, or myself. If we're not busy changing our mind about what we're going to do with services, we will be happy to answer your calls, and we are always here for you. Thank you again for being part of this wonderful Shir Shalom family. Shabbat Shalom. Happy 4th of July. Be sure to stop for ice cream treats on the way out. I told Joanne we should have umbrella drinks instead, but we have ice cream treats. Oh, by the way, there is a gluten-free, dairy-free option as well. It is made of library paste, but they tell me it's pretty. No, library paste is not gluten-free. Anyway, seriously, the dairy-free, gluten-free option they tell me is pretty good. So enjoy that. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
And Bruce, I got this beautiful brochure in the mail just today. Just so you know, for the golfing, it is fully vaccinated, so everyone has to have proof. That is from the golf course itself. We are going to move to our final hymn, which is very exciting, another one in honor of 4th of July. And I think for this one, you're going to need to rise. It's on page 680, and you probably know the words by heart.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to
you symbolically say this, it'll be over the ice cream. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. As you came in peace, may you leave in peace, and please return your prayer books to the front of the sanctuary. Shabbat shalom.